All right, let's jump right in. There's this fundamental belief in management, something we all kind of take as gospel. It's in every HR playbook, it's taught in every business school, and on the surface, it makes perfect sense.
And this is it, the big idea. If you recognize your team's achievements, you celebrate their wins, you will make them feel like they belong. Simple, right? It's supposed to be the key to a great company culture. But what if I told you that for some teams, this isn't just wrong, it's actually harmful?
Okay, so this number, this is the record scratch moment. It comes from a huge global study. We're talking 62 countries, and it basically says the exact opposite of what we all thought was true. This isn't just a rounding error. It's a huge red flag that we're missing something really, really important.
So what this number really means is that there's a negative correlation. In plain English, as a certain psychological system, which is called the purple vMEME, gets stronger in a group, the power of recognizing achievements as a motivator actually goes down. They're like two ends of a seesaw. So what in the world is the purple vMEME?
The easiest way to think about purple is to picture a super close-knit tribe. In this kind of system, you don't earn your belonging. You don't get a certificate for being part of the family. You just are. Your identity and your safety come from the group, from the unspoken bonds and the shared way of doing things. It's inherent.
And here's where the wheels fall off. For a team that runs on this purple mindset, belonging is a given. It's the air they breathe. But when leadership comes in and starts handing out individual awards, it completely changes the game. It suddenly makes belonging feel transactional. The unspoken question becomes, wait, is my spot here only good until the next performance review? It doesn't build connection. It plants a seed of doubt that can poison the whole tribe.
But here's the thing, it's not just about this one psychological stage. This mismatch of meaning happens all the time, across all kinds of teams. It creates this giant canyon between what a leader thinks they're doing and what the team actually feels.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? As a manager, you think you have this one key, let's recognize achievements, and you think it's the master key to motivation for everybody. But for one person, that key unlocks a door to status. For another, it unlocks a door to anxiety. And for some, it might just lock the door to belonging for good.
This table is basically the Dakota ring. Look at this. For purple, we've seen it's a threat. But for a red, power-focused mindset, recognition is all about status. It's a sign of who's on top. For a blue, rule-following mindset, it's just proof you did your job correctly. For orange, your classic go-getter, it's rocket fuel. For green, it's about the group success. And for yellow, it's just data. Same action, 6 totally different interpretations.
So you can see what happens when leaders are totally blind to these different codes. Their best intentions don't just fall flat, they create these negative ripples that can seriously mess up the whole organization. And we're talking about real-world consequences here. You roll out an Employee of the Month program to your tightest team, and all of a sudden, nobody's collaborating anymore because you've pitted them against each other. You've shattered that unspoken rule that we sink or swim together. And guess what? The people who value that we the most are the first ones to start looking for a new job.
This is the roadmap to disaster. It starts with something small, like a little too much focus on individual praise. That starts to eat away at the genuine tribal feeling of the team. Belonging starts to break apart into little individual silos. And then, before you even realize what's happening, that amazing culture you thought you were building is just gone.
I mean, that's it. Right there, the person looking at the budget for the awards program saw a line item for some plaques. They were completely blind to the human cost, to the domino effect of breaking trust and fracturing the very soul of the team. That's a cost you'll never find on a spreadsheet.
But what if you could actually see those invisible costs? What if you had a tool, like a GPS, that could help you navigate the messy, complicated world of human psychology? This is where we start talking about a whole new way to lead, one that can actually calculate this algebra of conscience.
So yeah, that is the million-dollar question. How do you stop managing based on outdated assumptions and gut feelings and start making decisions with a clear, predictive understanding of what's really going on with your team?
The answer, believe it or not, lies in mathematics. It's called a dynamic programming model. Now, that sounds super complicated, but the core idea is absolutely mind-blowing. It's about taking all that fuzzy human stuff, trust, fear, belonging, and building a mathematical framework around it to find the best path forward. It's like turning the soul of a company into a solvable problem.
Here's the simple version of how it works.
First, you measure the current psychological state of your team. You get their profile. Step 2, you simulate an action, like what if I introduce a new recognition program? Then, the model takes that action and filters it through a giant database of more than 13,000 known correlations about human behavior. And finally, it predicts the future state. It tells you the most likely impact on things like trust and team stability.
Now, you're probably thinking that building a tool like this sounds like something out of science fiction, right? Something that would take a decade and a team of geniuses. Well, not anymore. There's this incredible new trend on the horizon called AI vibe coding. It basically means you can use plain English to tell an AI what you want to build, and it just builds it. You describe the vibe, and it writes the code.
And this is what it looks like. This is the SD Navigator, a working prototype built using that exact vibe coding method. A leader can literally go in, plug in their team's profile, test out a management idea, and see a simulation of what will happen. It's like a flight simulator for corporate culture.
All of this brings us to one final massive question. We started this whole journey by questioning one simple management belief. But what happens if we flip the entire metric? What happens when our measure of a healthy team isn't about explicit awards, but about the strength of their inherent belonging? What other best practices in our playbooks suddenly start to look, well, broken? What do we need to unlearn to actually start leading?